true that investigations actually happen. It is just that the reports from those investigations, most of them I think are not published for the public to appreciate them and to see the content. But also the other thing is that some of those reports are used for prosecution to, to see who is culpable and be able um, to hold them liable for whatever wrong has happened. So investigations actually happen. But I think the question is, what is the underlying cause, in the building industry? Um, the underlying cause has been that the sector is not very well regulated. And that is at two levels. Level number one, it is that from a business perspective, unlike running a pharmacy where you need a professional pharmacist, okay, so you cannot run a pharmacy in this country by law without having a pharmacist on board as one of the directors. Now, quite on the contrary, I think even for the lawyers, you cannot run a law practice without having a lawyer or being a lawyer. Now, we have had among the contractors, the construction industry, it's actually perfectly possible. It still is perfectly possible to run a construction company without necessarily engaging professionals. So where is that gap? That's a gap of regulation, you know. And the good news is that I'm aware that at the level of the ministry, there is a law that is being thought about. As a matter of fact, I'm aware that the drafting principles of that law are either going to cabinet or have come out of cabinet, something like that. So there's a process going on to regulate that, so that um, you run a sector where you make sure that the professionals take charge. Okay, so that is one of the areas. The second area of regulation is, broadly speaking, to do with enforcement. What does enforcement mean? When it comes, for example, to the quality of materials, okay? How we source materials, the quality of materials, who verifies the quality of the materials, and that kind of thing. So you need regulation both in terms of materials, you need regulation in terms of enforcement of penalties, the aspects of building control, the aspects of do you have a permit to build, the aspects of occupancy. You're going to occupy a building, you need a permit because somebody, the professional has to come and assess that the building is in good shape. You know, now we have had not a very strong enforcement regime. In 2025, there was an amendment to the Building Control Act, and one of the things that law has done is to introduce more stricter sanctions. So the sanctions are more strict. You can have, penalties of up to 10 million payment. You can have imprisonment of up to 10, 12 years, you know. And so you have bigger fines, bigger penalties. And this is for things like building without a permit. Or if, for example, an order is issued to stop you from construction and you continue building at night, as happens in most of these cases. So I think that has been partly solved because we have a law now which has very strict penalties. What remains is the enforcement, the actual enforcement of those penalties, which is the mandate of the National Building Review Board, with ourselves as the professional body in support. So we actually back them up to discharge that mandate. So for me, those are the two broad areas why there is a collapse and these challenges in the sector. Um, I might also add that the actual professionals are actually, we have a very strong regulation regime of professionals. But unfortunately, our members of the public, a number of them do not actually engage professionals. They actually engage, you know, neighbors and friends and things like that. So little wonder that things go wrong. And it's very important that I think the point I'm making is that it helps very much that our people start engaging professionals, and that's why we are speaking out, so that people know that they need to engage professionals, but they also know where they are located, so that you find the professionals and engage them.
In the amendment bill,